24. This November 13th of 2022, NPR interviewed former Vice President Al Gore, who only increases his scientific organization's global warming rescue accomplishments. To paraphrase him, if governments, industries, and citizens do not do our utmost to reverse CO2 emissions, 1 billion climate refugees will crash borders throughout this 21st century, fueling anti-immigrant, authoritarian movements that will destroy democracy and self-government everywhere. Al then listed the most destructive arenas as if each was approximately equally deadly, including fires, floods, droughts, ocean rise, economic collapse, and food and water shortages. He failed to note that most only flee to destinations often unable to absorb and support new populations without hastening their own water, food, and economy loss time bombs. Apparently, it takes a fumbling amateur generalist to challenge the zillion emissions crisis specialists' rescue plans that dodge the reality that most climate refugees flee from fatal damage to crops, municipal water supplies, hunger, and economic collapse mostly caused by drought, not fires, floods, heat, or ocean rise. The world's best emissions slash to net zero, without vast CO2 scrub out, still will not lower CO2 to restore rainfall for up to thousands of years, which has been plunging for 24 drought years straight. And humanity needs mega more water on food crops and out of faucets this minute. And we must keep that new supply increasing for 10,000 more ever drier days. Most of those 9 million who starved to death in 2021 couldn't find the food because it died without water. Most refugees not fleeing killer gangs or governments go thousands of miles in search of food and water to stay alive. Even the quickest halt to CO2 emissions and the much slower full-century CO2 scrubbing out of our stratosphere to eventually cool Earth again, to bring back rainfall enough to keep rivers and lakes full and forests and crops alive, which very few professional global warming and potential difficult human reversal experts bother to fully scheme out, leaves everyone utterly uninterested in who might get these monstrous projects done, with what coercion and authority. Not a single egghead noticing that fresh survival water merely conserved and rationed will run out 50 times faster, necessitating 25,000 miles around brand new ocean and land surface supply, human collected, not any more sky falling, except temporary floods. And none realize that hyperspeed drinking water disappearance will quickly devastate the world economy, explode resource wars everywhere, and destroy all nuclear command and control to totally solve global warming with a nuclear ground burst blast dirt sunshine ending 2-year global 28 degrees all life ending deep freeze. So now you get why more than 19 of this nutball's top 20 laws and projects for world peace and drinking water require your flogging yesterday. Because today, the other 8 billion folks are surely only sleepwalking 1 to 10 years to everyone's doomsday. I can't wake up more than a few. Only you can explode billions love bomb to save the world and your family. A world of water bodies and rivers are disappearing today. Decades more accelerating to vanishing totally. Not 1% of the experts dispute or deny, just incredibly ignore. Because abstract researchers don't monitor TV, radio, and internet. Not only the massive world expert sources par excellence, but this loon's primary sources. My solitary research doesn't notice everything everywhere, maintains every academic. Well, your billion public sources do. Problem is, every day's 5 new local water crisis reports are not realized by any reporter to be worldwide and booming ever more fatally everywhere. Not a single deaf, dumb, nonsensate, blind, or just hopelessly myopic investigator nosing near perceives the entire elephant definitely in the room. Al and every cut emissions for the total solution theorist dreams of a world saved by squeaky clean smokestacks and electric cars. Only forgetting 99.9% of the problem. Record heat now dooming every last big and little body of water, already scorching and parching Earth 24 years straight, and about to spike ever hotter for decades more, especially considering 100% of world leaders doing nothing to save forests about to die and quintuple emissions, and nothing to launch mega CO2 scrub out, and nothing to stop 1,000 new coal plants for energy, and nothing to source new fresh water. And our thus unopposed, nearly completed scenario is every farmer's field brown, cracked, and dead, decent rains, and any lakes and rivers flat gone. No new supply, now we all die. How? The last humans guzzle their last bottles of water while firing the last magazines in their Uzis and AR-15s at croaking hordes rushing them for it. Just my imaginary horror movie? Think again. 2/3 of humanity ran low on water this summer. A world of water bodies and rivers are disappearing today. Decades more, further vanishing rain, 100% of experts now admit to, then incredibly ignore. The only seeing eyes across this blind, distracted world belong to our strange little audio community that you'd better explode. Plus, of course, the sadder, wiser, desperate millions suddenly wrenching on dry house faucets, then standing in mile-long lines for water that will run out before it's their turn. The rest of us, neophytes or experts, won't wake up until we walk over to our river and water treatment plant that had 6 inches of soggy mud to suck on yesterday, but not today. Then everyone, still so ignorant, unprepared, and alarmed, has only one question left. Who is sending us their extra liquid gold? Because our Walmart's $100 12 packs ran out months ago. Surplus? Are we kidding? Didn't we elect comatose leaders with only last century's temporary droughts ration plans still imagine to divide up this century's ever drier nothing into several somethings? We asked for death, and now here he is, Black Hood, sickle and all. Even my smart Austin, Texas planners insanely imagine storing large rainy day surplus from our ever-dropping lakes and rivers down in porous rock. clock for tapping back out every ever hotter, drier day. All these 27 future year schemers fail to plan out Mother Nature's impending defeated reality, soon fatally losing any decent number of normal, regular rainy days inland of occasional giant coastal floods. Again, idiots expect to conserve and multiply zero up to any positive number. The Vice President's organization has gathered worldwide research that now precisely details industry and specific factory emissions worldwide, and schemes out for each all supply chain changes and manufacturing alterations feasible for fast achievement of net zero emissions. And they've gained the agreement of a half dozen subnational and supranational consortiums to effect every reform. Just one question. Who gets the other 80% of high emitters to cut it out without hard law after every pretty please gets no thanks? Answer, your swords into plowshares treaty, no CO2 dam laws, nothing else. Obviously negotiated and enforced by the one change agent with the family love motive to meet, not hide from danger. Who dat? I don't know, but you do. Brush your teeth, look in the mirror and say, every expert and leader on earth is out to lunch, except the handful desalinating ocean water. So I'm it. I'll get crackin' today. I'm referring to our whole clean leader, disarm and throw everything into water and food programs and emissions, world law, mandatory control. People and industries the world over, numerous if not a majority, are cutting CO2 emissions voluntarily or legally, even profiting from environment-friendly behavior. And the minority of governments not fully bribed by the fossil fuel industry to profit now, never mind our death soon, do commence with good government regulation to order both companies and citizens to keep lowering emissions, says Al Gore. So where is this modicum of legally binding leadership and plethora of pretty please heading us in sum? To net zero? Actually, wonderful progress suggests that real possibility. Except that 10 to 20 years before human CO2 halt, forest drought death threatens to quintuple sky-high 2025 emissions. New irrigation supply or die. The one person left to actually legally force firm reversal of both CO2 heat increase and its caused water loss crises from blackest doom to burgeoning realistic hope by the ongoing actions required, including publicizing to and firing up 1 billion activist clones. Who dat? That job done right to save your family? Do it yourself. Love and care is all action, and you must be more inspired and powerful for love, care, and action for your world-threatened dear ones than all the rest of humanity's own family lovers, but presently publicly ignorant and apathetic fools put together. The love bomb to save humanity can only be designed, deployed, and set off by you. I can't prove, only reasonably speculate that the gray aliens on Alpha Centauri's Earth-like planet train radio telescopes across the same nearly dead universe that prematurely killed 1,000,000 techno-civilizations no more self-aware and correcting than ours. They might hear only our last Elvis and Beatles tunes. We can't hear them, though, because the few other reformed planet survivors of attempted species suicide by bribery, bombs, and CO2 would maintain transmission blackouts to hide from the few monsters who survived their bribery and bombs, only to attack the few other remaining worlds with spaceship H-bombs. Might those crazy Earthlings last long enough to nuke us? Now, why can't an obsessed but still alert, fearful, loving little designer, kinda like me, make our only living future agenda from history's ashes and lessons, and somehow attract billions of desperate family protectors to make it part of their own public plan of rescue action? Don't all facts, ideas, laws, and plans that we need stick out like sore thumbs? The smartest animals all over the universe were carnivores, their males forced to fight, conquer, and kill dangerous animal prey to survive. Their rudimentary but lethal spears, hatchets, and clubs killed fleet 500-pound prey, but every aware species across the universe refused to harm their own due to matriarchs' encouragement of male nonviolence. All instinct for tiny clan survival until the first farms. My favorite story, I repeat. After an especially terrible drought, the strange new farmer, others, still had bread left after every cave clan ran out of meat and berries. My wild imagination? No, multiple anthropologists, sociologists' theory extrapolated by many astronomers to the 1,000,000 alien species hunting instinct twisted to war on their own. Let's finish the horror story. Then dying hunter-gatherers' aggression to survive instinct always seized on desperate, brainy innovation. Let's end male love and care. Kill our own for food, then keep savaging for power and conquest that feels so necessary and exciting. First crush farmer skulls, then enslave the rest. Gorge on bread. Rains will return. In a flash, hunters became soldiers and farm village overlords. Ice-cold, violent, authoritarian governments over hundreds replaced once kind hunters' loving care of single families, then exploded to military conquest, dictatorship, and enslavement of entire planets. Every soldier's unchanged, or indeed genetically multiplied, conquer and kill instincts utterly perverted beyond survival purpose of animal hunting, now seizing their entire own species as prey to kill in hatred, or living victims to subjugate for stealing from, power, and their own nauseating definition of glory from the masses' pain, suffering, and humiliation. For 2 billion years, 1,000,000 or more planets periodically enshrined democratic matriarchy for several million prehistory army and government years, then were suddenly captured by lawless military dictator patriarchs that designed and locked in rapacious tyranny and conquest until CO2 and nuclear extinction. As I related earlier, nasty, occasional XYY mutants before organized governments only bullied mates out of childbearing, or their few kids from becoming parents, then passing down more genetic evil. But then the first and all subsequent armies' nationalist, racist savagery, probably inspired by some of those very genetic hypermales, delivered most all of the abuse on the battlefield, then plenty of comfy, nutritious spoils to fat, fertile soldiers' wives and their booming offspring. Suddenly, both war and community violent criminals were increasingly created and driven by double trouble doses of male chromosomes. I hope that my listeners understand that while I am not relating the documented history of the populated, then destroyed universe, my speeches cover the educated, circumstantially evident supposition of a majority of astronomers and anthropologists that billions, not millions of planets had every building block for life to advance from love and care to greedy, vicious government, to empires, to fossil fueling and nuclear self-immolation. The likely million such advanced worlds are mostly dead, say our radio telescopes. Any other story is not a millionth as likely. So let's continue. Millennia of murderous military governments and empires' rape of entire planets followed until the development of CO2 venting, fossil fuel burning. Its industries every bit as hyper-aggressive, male power booming, and government dominating as the military sales and campaigns, all ran over every feeble legal effort for a safe environment. Just as weapons merchants came to overwhelm politics to likewise ensure final, total species death. Why? Just for the money, honey. So what can you do to save us now? Well, since we all act for love or money, you rebuild government to deny the aggressors profits and weapons, and make family, love, and rescue also our big government laws. Your love poured into mighty strong action can and must institutionalize worldwide human love and fire public human greed and military aggression by denying both their every craved and cleverly built financial, legal, and military power tool. Only then can our new governments of love help and save us. The ones only you can build. And right now, because we're all hanging off the cliff by our fingernails. Every one of those million galactic civilizations remained loving right up until the single-day discovery of military government that then exploded like cancer to destroy at least 999 out of every 1,000 planet populations by final drought and nuclear extinction. Every last one died horribly without a solid attempt at that family love recapture of big leaders that my every word hammers. The rescue that you and I do have all motives and abilities to effect, but only with our wildest love and energy and steadiest work, leadership, salesmanship, organization expansion, and full enforced laws and projects for human rights and rescue. Those few surviving alien civilizations also built women's and kids' law, toppled patriarchy, and banned bombs, bribes, and battalions. They retired his story of mutant harm to then live out loving more eons of our story and fast learn to trap and distance pipe floods, then save trees, fill lakes, and grow food with that water, while they took longer to recool their atmospheres to regain their rain. You must end military dictatorship fashioned by private corruption of public servants. Thus you'll defeat patriarchs' theft and murder, crushing all of us, and elevate matriarchs' loving, caring, peaceful, democratic, just, lawful, healthy future for us all. Also making men equally loving kings, not a bit subservient. How fast must you break the power, money, and life thieves' 10 millennia's selfish evil tyranny? Well before your 6th grader can choose a university that still remains open with working water fountains and cafeterias. Demand life law from every government leader now and keep multiplying yourself. Ain't that my game? We both got game. To always love, help, and work, you first, last, every day, and above all, when facing your entire world's and own precious family's suffering and death, just do what God programmed every living thing to do for survival. Love, think, plan, and fight. My every speech directs and describes you fast taking away every boy's toy. Originally savaged against humans by XYY hypermales, converting us to war for hate and greed and bribery to keep buying invasion armies with everyone's blood, misery, money, and propagandized new contempt of and attack upon every one of those evil, inferior others deserving only abuse and death. It turns out that bestial degeneration exploded to almost every species' total murder. Just as weaponeers bribe lawmakers for war money and carte blanche world sales, so environment-destroying businesses identically foul governments also towards impending extinction, only by heat, thirst, and hunger. Although Murder Incorporated's solely caused nuclear fire and ice will almost always finish the horrible, stupid, sad, evil, unnecessary job first. Thus I describe the life-spawning, then premature self-destruction, brutal, universal rule. Well, just not here on earth against my precious family or the potentially good, kind, healthy, happy, worthy society we plan to fully adventure among. I won't allow it. I can stop it. I can fix it. Not by myself, but with all I'm gonna multiply to for organized, expanding help from. My talent and ethics and action to the 30th power. God's human, not magical power. The faint-hearted question if God is dead or impotent to enforce his love or ours. Well, he's neither dead, nor is he omnipotent or almighty. He did enable and ennoble us all to help each other care for each other. Actually, most do actively and diligently love and protect our families, but we mostly ignore our duty to supervise and aid our big public human family. Well, I blame and rouse me. His heavenly love only conquers all with my active, human-powered public intervention for all citizens and leaders' discipline, rescue, and mercy. So I'll keep summoning and winning old and new laws of care and love to end and replace the patriarch, thieves, and warriors' freedoms to steal, pollute, and kill. Well, after a dozen hours of what, why, and how, what could old Steve possibly have left? Only the last play of the Super Bowl. He's quarterback, calls the play in the huddle, jabs his elbow in my ribs. Our family's humanity team is behind 35-30. We got 8 seconds and 60 yards to the promised land. You do as I say every step of the only play left in the world. 4 defenders gonna smack you down. Shake 'em, bake 'em all, and fly for the end zone. My Hail Mary pass is 40 feet in the sky. 7 desperate opponents chase you, and the overthrown ball about to drop untouched on the 2-yard line. I ain't expecting much. Just suddenly convert your 60-yard sprint into a 4-foot leap above a dozen other hands. Now snag the 50-mile-an-hour missile with your fingernails. Next, take 500 pounds of T-bone tacklers to the chest. You'd better hang on to the ball and your broken ribs while you get slammed out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Just don't forget a split second before to shove and hold that one-handed pigskin far past your head, just inside that little orange corner pylon. Right before 8 billion throats roar a full 20 minutes, everybody draws a long breath for a couple of questions. Why did you keep training, straining, striving, and demanding when everybody else was headed out of the stadium with their head hanging? How the hell could you hang on to that ball after they broke most of your ribs in midair? How'd you know where the corner of the end zone was with your eyes hammered shut? It's hard to figure. Except you must have decided that you still had one more breath, your last long run, your highest jump, toughest grab, and longest reach. So are you the selfless hero enduring pain and sacrifice to save the ones you love? Not so much. Go ahead and admit it. You just crave more years of your own crazy joy, especially those 1,000 hugs and kisses coming back.